Welcome to Hunter School, where your rank is everything. While everyone else is focused on the future, some people are still stuck in the past. Junho is too busy winning a mobile game to care about his reputation. He's grinning like his match actually matters. Then someone slaps the phone right out of his hands. This is Ha Yunseo. She's a 5-star genius and Junho's childhood friend from the orphanage. He tries to play it cool. At 18, he's already way past the normal age for awakening. He tells her he's just going to coast on her success for the rest of his life. Yunseo isn't exactly thrilled with that plan. The other students are baffled. They can't understand why a goddess would even talk to him. She's in a league of her own, and the gap between them couldn't be wider. To everyone else, he's just the school's famous piece of trash. They can't wrap their heads around an orphanage kid being this close to her. It's time for the 2025 National Hunter Awakening exam. In this world, reality and games have fused together. Every student gets a shot at a class: strength, agility, magic, or support. They're all looking for that one miracle to change their lives. Junho been through this 3 times already. The excitement is pretty much gone. The line moves forward toward the massive awakening crystal. Everyone's debating which class is the real jackpot. Then the proctor calls out his name. The crowd immediately starts laughing at the legendary senior who can't take a hint. His teacher, Kai Yojin, tries to keep him calm with a warm smile. She tells him to take a deep breath and touch the crystal. He reaches out, hopping for anything but another failure. His hand makes contact, and the stone starts to pulse. He holds his breath, waiting for the verdict. A brilliant blue light erupts from the crystal. Blue means a magic-type class. For a second, it looks like he actually made it. Yojin watches the glow, thinking he finally pulled it off. The other students are just waiting for a reason to start mocking him again. The system starts loading his starting skill automatically. He waits to see how many stars his new class actually has. It's a 1-star awakening. His only skill is something weak called Mud Snare. Junho stares at the screen. It's pretty much the lowest possible result. The room explodes in laughter. It's exactly what the crowd wanted to see. Yojin walks over and asks him what skill he managed to get. He doesn't answer. He's still processing the disappointment. She looks at him with genuine pity. He waited years just for this. He turns away from the crowd, head down as they keep laughing. She hands him his basic gear and tells him to move to the next stage. But as he takes the staff, he hears a voice that doesn't belong to the teacher. A hidden system finally triggers. The real awakening has just begun. Junho is stunned. A system actually popped up. It looks like it's handed him 2 powerful passives right out of the gate. First is Source of Darkness, which lets him use dark magic without paying the usual heavy price that usually comes with it. Then there's Mysterious Gift, giving him a free monolith cast of his dark spells once every week. He's a bit worried, though. In this world, the power of darkness is considered the most evil force there is. While he's trying to wrap his head around it, his only skill, Mud Snare, starts to warp. The system confirms it's been corrupted, turning it into a high-tier dark magic called Rotten Shell. This whole thing feels pretty sketchy to him. Corrupted magic isn't exactly a good sign for his future. But he doesn't have time to second-guess it. The field test is starting, and he's sent into the dungeon with the rest of the group. The proctors remind everyone that drones are watching, so they better not think about cheating or starting any fights. Junho steps inside and checks his new active skill. It creates a protective shell that crushes anything that gets too close. He knows if anyone finds out he's using evil magic, he'll be in serious trouble. As they march deeper in, he tries to get the system to explain what's going on, but it stays silent. He stepped into the teleportation portal, which shimmered with a mysterious purple hue. The air is still, save for the sound of dry leaves drifting through the sky. It looks like a normal woods, but the danger is definitely there. Further ahead, the other students are already in the thick of it, clashing with groups of goblins. Swords are clashing, and magic is flying as everyone tries to get a high score. But more monsters are lurking in the bushes, just waiting for the right moment to pounce. Junho stays low, watching a lone goblin from the safety of the brush. He knows he can't use his dark magic with those surveillance drones watching every move. The drones are everywhere, making it impossible for him to test his new powers without being caught. Back in the control room, a guard notices Junho just hanging back and wonders what he's even doing. Kai Yojin explains that he's a late awakener with a weak body, so she doesn't expect much from him. Suddenly, an alarm goes off. One of the drone feeds just cut out completely. The sensors are detecting a surge of power that's way above the average for a beginner dungeon. A surveillance drone lies smashed on the ground, smoking from the impact. Nearby, a student is shaking with fear as he faces something way out of his league. A goblin vanguard steps out of the shadows. This elite monster has no business being in a beginner's test site. He calls out to his goblin brothers, commanding them to follow his voice and stop being slaves. The goblins roar in excitement, ready to bury every human intruder they find. The elite boss spots another drone hovering above the trees. He doesn't hesitate and lashes out with a quick strike. The drone is crushed in an instant, leaving the area in a total blind spot. A pillar of light erupts as the machine is destroyed. Junho ducks for cover, wondering why a drone just fell out of the sky right next to him. He's caught off guard, but his brain starts working fast. He realizes the drones are no longer watching. But there was no time for him to daze off. A pack of goblins began to surround him. The elite goblin grins, spotting Junho and calling him a little rat for hiding. Junho stands up and faces the boss and his army head-on. He checks the sky. The drones are gone. This is the opportunity he needed. This is his chance to see if the dark magic actually works, and he raises his finger to test it. He unleashes a massive burst of purple energy, preparing to take on the entire goblin squad at once. The goblin vanguard's eyes widen in absolute terror as he realizes he's no longer the hunter, but the prey. Junho stands at the center of a swirling vortex of purple energy, his power far exceeding anything a student should possess. Ghostly, skull-like shadows erupt from the ground, tearing through the goblin ranks like paper. Back in the control room, chaos breaks out as the monitors go dark, and the sensors detect a Monarch-class entity. Kai Yojin is visibly shaken. She knows that a monster of that caliber is a city-level threat that shouldn't be here. The one-sprout elite goblin can only scream in horror as the dark magic closes in on him. A massive wave of dark energy consumes everything in its path, leaving only destruction behind. Junho stares at his own hands, fascinated by the incredible power but disgusted by the sticky and queasy sensation of the dark aura. System notifications start flooding in as he effortlessly wipes out the goblin minions with his rotten shell spell. He's amazed by the raw monster-killing efficiency of his new skills, realizing he's stumbled onto something world-changing. Goblins are obliterated one after another, each death feeding him more experience points. The last remaining goblin stares at him in disbelief, unable to comprehend how a mere human wields such overwhelming darkness. The goblin vanguard tries to retreat, but shadowy claws pin him down, sealing his fate. He desperately begs for his life, but there's no mercy to be found in the void Junho has unleashed. With a final, violent explosion of purple light, the elite boss is turned into nothing but a heap of experience points. A status window appears before Junho, showing that he has surged all the way to level 10 in a single encounter. He can't help but grin. Gaining 10 levels at once is practically unheard of in a basic field test. He realizes that hunting elites is the shortcut to power, though he's still puzzled about how such a creature got into the dungeon. Beams of orange light signal that the elite monster dropped some seriously high-quality loot. He picks up the glowing items, realizing they are orange grade, which is incredibly rare for his level. The first item is a Vanguard's badge, an epic-grade accessory that provides a permanent boost to his speed. He also finds a pair of Butcher's Knuckles, another epic-tier item that's worth a fortune. Even though he can't use the knuckles as a mage, he knows selling them will solve all his financial problems. For the first time, Junho feels a real path to strength opening up before him, and he's ready to take it. Suddenly, an emergency broadcast rings out. ordering all students to immediately use their teleport scrolls and withdraw. Junho looks around, the purple haze finally clearing to reveal the total devastation he's caused. He realizes the magnitude of what he just did, and the danger he's in if he's discovered. The lush forest has been replaced by a scorched wasteland full of smoldering craters. He can't believe the sheer destructive force he now commands. Dark magic is even more terrifying than the legends said. The aftermath of his spell is a grim reminder of why this power is so feared by the rest of the world. Seeing other students starting to teleport away, Junho knows he has to vanish before anyone links him to the Monarch class anomaly. Blue pillars of light fill the area as the trainees scramble to leave the danger zone. He quickly activates his own teleport circle, eager to blend back into the crowd of average students. Outside the dungeon, proctors are frantically ushering everyone out, declaring the test officially over. The lead proctor is on edge, worried that they won't have enough reinforcements if a real Monarch-class monster breaks loose. He's baffled by the sensors, which show the massive power source vanished as quickly as it appeared. A cold sweat breaks out on his face as he considers the possibility that the threat might have already escaped the test site. Kai Yo-jin catches up with Junho and whispers for him to stay calm and pretend he didn't see a thing to avoid a panic. She instructs the staff to seal the magic circles and get everyone to safety immediately. She looks at Junho with concern, checking to see if the weak student was harmed in the chaos. Junho plays the part of the confused trainee, rubbing the back of his head and claiming he's perfectly fine. The school is put on lockdown, with classes canceled indefinitely while the authorities investigate the disaster Junho left behind. Junho walks alongside Ha Yunseo, a beautiful girl with long blonde hair and sharp golden eyes, as they discuss the rumors of a school-wide lockdown. He keeps his expression neutral, but internally he's laughing at the fact that the unknown power source the authorities are hunting for was actually his own dark magic. Yunseo misinterprets his silence as lingering fear, assuming he's still shaken up by the elite monster encounter and the abrupt end to their awakening test. Concerned for his future as a hunter, she tells him that solo hunting with defensive magic is a death sentence and orders him to join her guild's run starting tomorrow. With a nonchalant wave and a smirk, Junho declines her offer, insisting that he's actually better off working on his own. Deep down, he knows he can't let her see him using his dark mage skills, as the sinister purple aura and skull shadows would be impossible to explain. Junho tries to look cool and independent with his hands in his pockets, but Yunseo's annoyance is clearly growing as she stares him down. Refusing to take no for an answer, she points an authoritative finger and demands he meet her at the west gate by 8 tomorrow morning. She walks away without another word, leaving Junho reaching out in a panic, his attempt at acting tough having completely backfired. He grabs his head and screams in frustration, wondering if the girl is deaf or just incredibly stubborn. He considers faking a stomachache just to stay home, but he knows Yunseo well enough to know she'd probably drag him out of bed regardless. A devious glint enters his eyes as he begins to formulate a new plan, one that might just let him keep his secrets while dealing with his persistent childhood friend. Junho makes his way to the Central Exchange, a massive facility for hunters to do business. He's got a specific goal in mind: find gear with the mud snare skill to use as a cover for his dark magic. He also needs to offload some of the items he picked up during his earlier fight. As he walks in, a receptionist greets him and asks how she can help. Junho keeps it simple and says he's looking for anything with the mud snare skill on it. The woman isn't impressed. She tells him not to waste his time on such a low-tier skill and offers to show him gear that will actually help him grow. When he insists on the weak gear, she immediately loses interest and calls for someone else to deal with him. She walks away, annoyed that she wasted her breath on a rookie with no ambition. An intern named Yang Siola steps in to help him, showing much better manners than her coworker. She leads him through the exchange, passing rows of high-end weapons on display. Junho stops to check out a pair of gauntlets while they walk. He even tries lifting a heavy hammer, playing the part of a struggling new hunter. Next, he looks over a golden ring from one of the display cases. He thanks Yang Seola for her help, but tells her he's also looking to sell some loot. She's happy to assist and guides him toward the appraisal section. They enter the office of Mr. Wang, a seasoned appraiser. Yang Seola introduces Junho, who pulls out the golden claw and asks what it's worth. Mr. Wang uses an appraisal skill and is stunned to see an epic-grade agility weapon with such low requirements. He notes the 3 open slots, which makes it a perfect, customizable piece for any beginner. Junho plays it cool, just telling the man he wants the highest price possible. Mr. Wang says he'll get in touch with a buyer immediately and tells Seola to take care of their guest. As the boss makes the call, Yang Seola pours some tea for Junho while they wait. A short time later, Mr. Wang walks back into the room with an update. The item sold for 50,000 crystals, leaving Junho with a massive 46,000 after the exchange takes its fee. The amount is so high that Yang Seola can't hide her shock. Junho confirms the transfer and decides to stick around to buy a few more things with his new fortune. Outside the office, the rude receptionist from earlier is bragging about her high standards for customers. Her jaw drops when she sees Junho walking down the hall, side by side with Mr. Wang. A coworker tells her the news. That kid just sold a single item for 50,000 crystals. The woman realizes she just handed a massive commission directly to the intern. She starts screaming about her lost incentive as the reality of her mistake sets in. Junho prepares to leave, and Seola tells him to come back soon and ask for her directly next time. She finally introduces herself properly as Yang Seola before he heads out. The next day arrived soon enough. Junho walks through the city, whistling and looking completely unassuming in his new gear. He had tested the items yesterday and confirmed that their skills stayed normal, making them the perfect camouflage. Now that his cover is set, he's much less worried about anyone discovering his dark magic. He spots Ha Yunseo in the crowd and waves her down. She turns and notices him approaching her group. She's with members of her guild, including a warrior and a mage named Jo Sung-hoon. A fierce-looking berserker is also part of their high-level team. A priest rounds out the party, completing the lineup for their next hunt. Ha Yunseo introduces Junho to her guild members, starting with a massive red-haired warrior and a friendly priestess. The group's mage, Jo Sung-hoon, gives Junho a look of pure disgust, and the warrior doesn't seem much friendlier. Junho feels the heavy atmosphere immediately. He wonders why they're staring him down like he just committed a crime against their families. Jo Sung-hoon ignores him entirely and starts chatting with Yunseo about her upcoming second-class advancement. Junho is impressed to hear she's almost level 60 already. Reaching that rank with a 5-star class is a huge achievement. Sung-hoon pulls out a glowing green vial, telling Yunseo he's got a special gift for her. It's a high-grade speed potion, an epic rarity item that grants a permanent +3 boost to speed. The other guild members are stunned. They know a permanent stat booster is incredibly rare and wildly expensive. Sung-hoon brags that it's worth 20,000 crystals, and he had to call in a lot of favors just to get one bottle. Yunseo tries to turn him down, telling him he should keep such a rare gift for himself. Sung-hoon gets pushy, telling her they have a schedule to keep. He glares at Junho with total contempt. He finally snaps, pointing at Junho and asking if she's really going to waste her precious time on trash like him. Yunseo's patience runs out. She tells Jo Sung-hoon to watch his mouth. Sung-hoon just smirks. He says it's a cold, hard fact that 1-star hunters are trash who stay at the bottom for life. Junho is losing his cool. He wonders why this guy is picking a fight for no reason and briefly considers drowning him in dark magic. The priestess tries to keep the peace, but Sung-hoon tells her to stay out of it. He laughs in Junho's face, telling him he'll never be able to afford a potion like that in his entire life. He tells him to get lost. Junho just waves him off. He mocks Sung-hoon for acting so tough over a potion that only raises stats by a measly 3 points. Sung-hoon and the warrior think he's just bluffing. Sung-hoon bets that if Junho actually has something better, he'll get on his knees and beg for forgiveness. He adds that if Junho is lying, Junho will be the one who has to kneel and apologize. Junho accepts the challenge, telling the mage to get ready to grovel as he reaches into his storage. A massive gold badge starts to glow in Junho's hand. He holds it out and says it's a gift for Yunseo. Yunseo is completely floored. She's never seen an item with this kind of energy before. The others are in total shock. It's the Vanguard's badge, an epic grade item that permanently raises stats by 100. It's completely broken. Junho tells her she'll see just how powerful it is once she tries it out. Yunseo hesitates, but Junho lies and says he just found it lying around and wanted her to have it anyway. The other guild members are so excited they're practically screaming for her to hurry up and use it. As soon as she activates it, a massive pillar of golden light erupts from her body. Everyone watches in stunned silence, their jaws hitting the floor as they witness the transformation. Yunseo looks at herself, feeling the massive surge of power. Her stats really did jump through the roof. The priestess is beside herself with joy for her friend. Sung-hoon and the warrior are still trying to process it. They're convinced a loser like Junho must have stolen it from somewhere. Junho just cleans out his ear, telling Sung-hoon to stop whining and smack his forehead on the ground for everyone to hear. Yunseo steps in and reminds Sung-hoon that a deal is a deal and he needs to apologize. Sung-hoon is cornered. Sung-hoon is trembling with rage and humiliation as the other guild members watch him closely. A heavy thud echoes through the air as his knees finally hit the pavement. He's actually doing it. Sung-hoon grovels on the ground while Junho stands over him, enjoying every second of the petty victory. Junho waves a casual goodbye to the group, thanking them for the entertainment before heading off. Yunseo catches up with him and apologizes for her guild members' behavior, but Junho tells her not to worry about it. He gives her a bright smile and tells her to focus on her own goals instead of worrying about him. Inwardly, he's just glad to finally have some privacy for his training. Yunseo gets worried and tells him not to give up on being a hunter just yet. Junho just thinks about how much more he's capable of. Who said he ever gave up? Before he can leave, Yunseo stops him and tells him to take this. She pulls out a small book for him to take. Yunseo pulls out 2 epic-grade skill books to give to Junho as a thank you for the badge he gave her earlier. Junho is surprised by their high rarity, but Yunseo insists they're nothing compared to the powerful gift he shared with her. With a bright grin, Junho happily accepts the books, knowing they'll be incredibly useful for his growth. The scene shifts to the dungeon, gloomy graveyard outskirts, a desolate place filled with thick fog and a distant, ominous castle. The silence is broken as rotting zombie hands claw their way out of the earth, followed by a horde of axe-wielding undead. Suddenly, flashes of brilliant blue energy slice through the air with lethal precision. The zombies are torn apart in seconds, their decaying forms no match for the speed and power of the attacks. Yunseo lowers her glowing bow while Junho sits comfortably on the sidelines, cheering her on with a lazy, nice tilde. Internally, Junho is bored. These low-level monsters don't give him any EXP anymore, but he has to hide that he's already level 10. Yunseo's phone suddenly rings, pulling her away from the battle as she feels a vibration from her gear. It's the priestess from her guild calling with urgent news. The corrupted lich boss is about to spawn. The guild members are gathered and ready. The priestess tells Yunseo it's a rare opportunity she can't afford to miss. She asks if Yunseo is coming to join the raid. They need her power to take down a boss of that level. Sung-hoon shouts in the background, his greed clear as he mentions the incredible magic items the lich is known to drop. Yunseo looks at Junho, feeling conflicted about leaving him behind in the middle of a dungeon. Junho senses her hesitation and tells her to go. He tells her he'll be fine and might even try to get some levels off the boss himself. Yunseo relents and tells him to stay safe in the designated safe zone until she gets back to fetch him. Junho gives her a playful thumbs up and a wink, acting every bit the helpless friend who needs rescuing. Yunseo takes off like a rocket, leaving behind a massive shockwave as she sprints toward the boss's location. A chibi version of Yunseo yells back at him, annoyed that he's acting so familiar by calling her just Yunseo. Once she's gone, Junho's playful mask drops. He's glad he finally has some privacy to handle the boss his own way. He looks at the skill books Yuncio gave him, thinking about his current growth and potential. He reflects on the skills he learned recently. In his mind, the more dark magic skills he has, the better. A system window displays his passive skill, Mysterious Gift, which allows him to use all his learned dark magic for free once a week. Junho stretches his arms, frustrated that his current level limits him to only 3 active skill slots. He checks his status screen. He'll have to wait until level 15 before he can unlock more slots for the new skills. He steps further into the gloomy graveyard, looking far more dangerous than any of the skeletons and ghouls surrounding him. Meanwhile, another party of hunters arrives. A knight in heavy armor warns his team that every monster here is lethal. A massive pillar of fire erupts in the distance, illuminating the dark sky for everyone in the dungeon. The knight and priestess are stunned by the sheer power of the group, clearing the path ahead of them so quickly. They recognize the famous Lion of Purge guild members. Realizing they're competing with Yuncio and Sung-hoon, they give up on the boss. Yuncio and Sung-hoon's team is tearing through the undead. Sung-hoon is in high spirits, declaring the boss's loot as his own. Sung-hoon unleashes a massive, crackling golden lightning spell, mocking any half-baked parties who think they can compete. The red-haired warrior is amazed by Yuncio's performance. The stat boost she got from Junho's badge has made her terrifyingly fast. The scene shifts to the gloomy graveyard Inner Depths, where a ruined, glowing tower stands as the final destination. A massive vortex of dark purple energy begins to swirl in the sky above the tower's peak. Junho arrives at the tower instantly, thanks to a high-tier spatial magic skill he's mastered. A notification confirms he has learned Dark Dash, a powerful dark magic skill that allows for near-instant movement. In the darkness of the tower, a gigantic, sinister eye snaps open, sensing the presence of an intruder. The corrupted lich emerges from the shadows. It's a skeletal titan wearing a crown and draped in tattered royal robes. Junho isn't intimidated at all. He waves at the towering undead king with a casual greeting. Enraged by the mortal's lack of fear, the lich raises its hands and unleashes a devastating torrent of green soul fire. The corrupted lich's green soul fire detonates in a massive explosion, engulfing the area in spectral flames. The magical fire dissipates quickly, leaving behind only wisps of lingering smoke on the scorched ground. "Arrogant adventurer," the lich rasps, its hollow eyes burning with a menacing red light. "You dare come here alone." Junho effortlessly leaps through a vortex of his own dark energy, looming over the skeletal boss with a confident smirk. "Oh, that," Junho replies, his expression turning cold and predatory. "I just don't feel like sharing the loot with anyone else." Before the lich can react, Junho is already right beside it, channeling a terrifying amount of mana into a new, corrupted spell. A system interface shows one of the skill books from Yuncio being transformed into a dark magic variant. Fire Rain, Dark Magic. Junho hovers in the sky, summoning a torrential rain of purple meteors that pelt the lich and its surroundings with relentless force. The entire tower is consumed by a violent purple blast as the dark magic reaches its peak intensity, shaking the dungeon to its core. The barrage continues for several seconds, pulverizing the ground and leaving nothing but dust in the wake of the meteors. Junho stands calmly amidst the settling debris, watching as a long list of defeated, undead minions scrolls through his vision. A celebratory notification rings out. The corrupted lich is dead, granting him enough experience to reach level 30 instantly. He examines the epic-grade loot hovering before him, calculating which powerful items to keep and which to sell for a profit. Deciding to use one of the most valuable drops, Junho reaches for the lich's badge, prepared to sacrifice some HP for a permanent power boost. As his fingers touch the item, a specialized system message alerts him to a hidden property within the badge. The system reveals that he can now choose between 2 incredibly rare hidden jobs: Spectral Shaman or God of All Attribute Magic. Junho's eyes widen as he realizes the magnitude of his discovery. The badge was the key to a path most hunters could only dream of, and now he has to make a choice. Junho is feeling pretty good about himself. He thinks God of All Attribute Magic just sounds a whole lot cooler than any other option. Back in the dungeon, Ha Yunseo looks like she just saw a ghost. A massive wave of magical energy hits them. Jo Sung-hoon isn't taking any chances and orders an immediate retreat. Sung-hoon is practically screaming at everyone to get out before they die for nothing. He's furious. Absolutely nothing is going according to plan today. Yunseo immediately grabs her phone. She needs to get a warning to Junho before it's too late. She sees a message from him. He already left because something came up. Meanwhile, Junho is standing in front of the advancement hall, ready to move up in the world. He heads inside, but the place looks completely deserted. He spots someone at a desk and heads over. The receptionist looks up from her computer and asks if he's there for a class advancement quest. She starts pulling up his file. Name An Junho, age 18, occupation 1-star mage. She's not exactly impressed. Starting your first advancement at 18 usually means you aren't a natural. She leads him down the hall, telling him the room for mages is this way. She drops him off at a glowing chamber and tells him she'll wait outside while he follows the procedure. While she's waiting, a guy in heavy armor walks up to her. He's got some bad news. Their investigation into the gloomy graveyard dungeon shows it's at least Monarch class. The receptionist is stunned. 2 Monarch class incidents in just 2 days is unheard of. She tells him they've already called in the Shadow to handle it. Inside the chamber, Junho looks at his choices. First is the A-Rank Spectral Shaman quest. And then there's the big one, the S-Rank prerequisite quest for God of all attribute magic. 2 choices, it's not even a contest. He's going for the S-Rank quest. He gets the confirmation and starts heading out. Having a hidden job really pays off. He's got 3 full days to wrap this up, so there's no rush. On his way out, a different receptionist tells him to have a nice day. Junho stops for a second. He notices she's not the same person who checked him in. Meanwhile, a dungeon entrance has been absolutely demolished. A lone figure stands in the wreckage of what used to be a tomb. A couple of hunters are watching from a distance, whispering about seeing a member of the Shadow in the flesh. They know the Shadow is made of elite hunters with hidden jobs who can tap into dark magic. These guys only show up for the most dangerous, top-secret missions. The figure, Tempest of Shadows, looks down at the destruction, clearly annoyed. Even though the fight is over, she can still feel a massive amount of dark energy lingering in the air. She tells the investigators that whoever did this vanished the second the dungeon collapsed. One of the men thinks this is just the beginning of some major disaster. Tempest of Shadows is calling for backup. Even she is getting a headache from this. An official asks if she's sure a monster was responsible for all this. She turns on him, asking if he's implying that someone like her, a mutant, did it. She shuts that theory down fast. No human body could ever survive holding that much dark power. The official backtracks, figuring a powerful monster must be lurking out there somewhere. Tempest of Shadows agrees. Whatever it is, it's hiding in the dark and they need to find it fast. Back at his place, Junho is peeking through his curtains. He feels much safer in the dark anyway. Reaching level 30 just gave An Junho 4 more skill slots, and he's not wasting any time. He starts with the skill books he got from Ha Yunseo. A new passive skill pops up, Corrupted Blessing. This one's a game changer. It automatically absorbs 100% of damage through Rotten Shell, and even regenerates when the heat is off. Junho realizes he can combine his dark magic with low-tier spells to craft entirely new skills. Basically, he's a walking fortress now. He cracks open the next book to see what else he can add to his arsenal. He unlocks another passive, Elemental Mastery Earth. It gives a solid 20% boost to all his Earth attribute magic. Looking at his skill tree, he sees his slots are still mostly empty since everything he's got is a fusion skill. Time for a shopping trip to the exchange. He heads over to the Central Exchange, a massive skyscraper that looms over the city. Inside, Junho is looking a lot more confident as he walks through the lobby. A receptionist immediately recognizes him as the high roller from last time. He asks if Yang Seola is around to help him. The lady says Seola is busy with another client and offers to handle his business herself. Junho isn't interested. He politely declines and says he'll just look around on his own. The receptionist is fuming. She can't believe a guy actually turned her down. She's taking it personally, wondering if he really thinks Ciola is that much better. She follows him anyway, insisting that this section of the exchange is her territory. Suddenly, he hears someone running toward him. It's Ciola, and she's out of breath. Junho asks if she's finished with her other customer. She tells him she wasn't even working. She was on her lunch break when she heard he was there. He feels a bit bad for dragging her out of her meal and offers to treat her to dinner later as an apology. Ciola tries to play it cool, but she's clearly happy about it. Meanwhile, the other receptionist is watching from the sidelines, absolutely livid. Junho brings out 2 skill books he wants to sell while looking for some new mage gear. The manager at the desk is impressed. He tells Ciola to take good care of their guest. The guy can't believe his luck. First an epic grade weapon, and now Junho is bringing in unique grade skill books. He decides it's time to start keeping a closer eye on this kid. Later that evening, Junho and Ciola are enjoying a nice meal together. It's a rare moment of peace for both of them. When the bill comes, Junho tries to grab it, but Ciola stops him. She's already paid. He's confused since he was the one who offered, but she just smiles and says she has her reasons. She tells him it's a secret and nudges him to head home. Junho offers to walk her out, but she's got a taxi waiting. He watches as she heads toward the car, wishing her a safe trip. Ciola tells the driver to head to the city hospital. She's got a look of determination on her face. Thanks to the massive bonus she got from Junho's trades, she's finally able to take care of her sick father. She spends her evening tending to him at his bedside. A huge weight has been lifted off her shoulders. She can finally cover all those hospital bills that were piling up. She's actually tearing up with relief, a small smile appearing as she thinks about how much things have changed. Suddenly, a deafening crash shatters the silence. Shards of glass go flying everywhere. The taxi she's in is crushed by something heavy. Ciola is thrown around as the car is completely totaled. She manages to look up, her heart stopping as she realizes what's happening. It's a monster. Panic erupts on the streets as more creatures crawl out of dark, swirling portals. They're everywhere, and the people around have no idea how to react. One of the monsters is perched right on top of Ciola's car, its glowing eyes fixed on the chaos. Ciola desperately tries to get the door open, her hand shaking as she fumbles with the handle. She finally manages to scramble out, tumbling onto the hard pavement as she tries to put some distance between her and the wreck. She grunts in pain, looking back at the nightmare unfolding behind her. Shadows are creeping across the street like a living thing. She's in total shock. Monsters shouldn't be able to show up inside a designated safe zone. One of the beasts looms over her, its sharp teeth bared. Ciola freezes on the ground, completely helpless as it prepares to strike. A massive swirling rift of blue and black energy opens up in the middle of the city. High above the skyscrapers, a dark figure emerges from the portal. The mutant/chosen of darkness wears a sinister grin, a skull pendant dangling from his neck. A sudden burst of golden energy illuminates the battlefield, signaling a shift in the fight. A monster is caught in the blinding shockwave of the blast, its form silhouetted against the light. Yang Ciola desperately tries to cast a spell, her stats identifying her as a level 34 mage. A monster lunges at her with a blade-like arm, and she screams in terror as the attack comes down. At that exact moment, the man charged into the fray, his sword glowing with blue energy as he intercepted the monster's strike. He yells at Ciola to find a safe place to hide while he tries to hold off the threat. The man realized the area was being corrupted. The dungeon was merging with reality at an unprecedented and dangerous rate. He thinks back to an administrator's warning, realizing a powerful monster has appeared just as they feared. A dark, clawed hand swipes through the air with lethal speed, barely missing its target. The force of a sudden impact sent the man reeling backward, sending debris flying everywhere. The man struggled to his feet, staring at the person he assumed was just another mutant. The man retorts that he is far superior to any simple mutant. He is a chosen of the power of darkness. The man is baffled by the term, but he knows he can't afford to get distracted by labels right now. He charges forward with a roar, swinging his glowing blade with every ounce of his strength. The Chosen of Darkness easily parries the strike, sending the man crashing violently into the ground. The man is stunned by the power gap, realizing his opponent has at least third advancement level strength. The Chosen of Darkness taps the ground with a finger, declaring that this entire area is now his domain. Dark energy erupts from the pavement, swirling around him like a malevolent storm. He lunges at the man, sneering that weaklings like him stand no chance against his power. A heavy blow strikes the man, sending him tumbling through the air across the street. The Chosen follows up with a brutal kick to the chest that sends the hunter flying even further. The man skids across the asphalt, leaving a long trail of blood in his wake as he loses consciousness. The Chosen laughs maniacally, feeling an endless supply of dark power welling up within him from the land. Suddenly, he stopped laughing and looked toward the pendant, his face turning pale as he stammered an apology. A voice booms from the crack, reminding him that his power is merely a gift that can be revoked at any time. The arrogant warrior is immediately humbled, bowing deeply before the manifestation of his master. A dark presence begins to squeeze through the narrow rift, its aura suffocating and heavy. A terrifying skeletal head with glowing red eyes emerges from the void, staring down at its servant. The entity looms over the Chosen, its form made of pure darkness and absolute malice. It commands him to prove his worth by completing the mission he was assigned. The shadow orders him to offer up every human in the city as a sacrifice to the world where it reigns. "As you command," the Chosen replies, his forehead pressed against the cold ground in total submission. In another part of the building, a hand pulls back the curtain of a doorway. An Junho steps out of the restroom, looking calm and composed despite the carnage beginning outside. An Junho's purple eyes narrow as he takes in the sight of the sudden destruction around him. Standing at the entrance of the restroom, he wonders aloud how everything could have gone to hell in the short time he was away. The monstrous entity, with its jagged teeth and glowing red eyes, looms over the broken and defeated Jo Sung-hoon. Sung-hoon lies incapacitated in a pool of blood, his sword discarded nearby as his strength fails him. The beast's gaze snaps toward Junho, its eyes burning with a murderous intent as it finds its next target. It lets out a thunderous roar and lunges at Junho, who stands perfectly still in the face of the charging monster. Just as the creature is about to strike, the asphalt beneath it shatters under an immense, sudden pressure. A massive pillar of energy erupts from the ground, engulfing the beast and launching it into the air with a violent, earth-shaking blast. An Junho puts his new skill to the test, summoning a massive wall of thorns. It's the Thorn Wall skill he just acquired. He spent a fortune on the weapon, but getting a skill that synergizes with his earth elemental mastery makes it worth every penny. He steps into the fray, ready to deal with the chaos. The entire place is overgrown with destructive roots from the sudden dungeon outbreak. That's when Ju Kanghyuk shows up in his mutant form, mocking Junho for being a lucky little rat. A sudden shockwave rocks the area. Ju Kanghyuk lunges forward, swinging a massive, mutated dark arm. The beast thinks he's landed a finishing blow. But when the dust settles, Ju Kanghyuk is the one looking horrified. Junho didn't even flinch, stopping the giant claw with a single hand. The mutant is sweating bullets, wondering how some kid just blocked his full power strike. He senses it now, a power of darkness that completely dwarfs his own. To Ju, Junho doesn't even feel human anymore. He's something far more dangerous. He's looking at a presence more terrifying than death itself. Junho stays calm, casually weighing whether he should even bother using his dark magic here. He's completely unbothered by the monster in front of him. With a simple flex, he shatters the mutant's arm into pieces. Terrified, Ju Kanghyuk begs his master for help, only to be told he's on his own. A massive rift tears through the city street as the dark connection is severed. The gate starts closing, and the monsters realize it's time to bail. The rift in the sky finally snaps shut. Without his master's support, Ju Kanghyuk feels his stolen power draining away. Junho just watches with those glowing purple eyes, looking totally satisfied. Turns out, mutants, are just people who lucked into hidden darkness jobs when they awakened. They're strong, sure, but they're completely dependent on that dark protection. Once that protection is gone, they break down pretty fast. Junho lets out a long breath now that the fight is over. He's glad his corrupted blessing let him focus entirely on dealing damage. But he can't hang around. He needs to grab the loot and vanish before the authorities arrive. The battle left the building in total ruins. A high-ranking hunter, known as Tempest of Shadows, arrives with her team to survey the damage. She's trying to figure out what kind of monster could trigger a full dungeon break and then just disappear. Her subordinate reports that most areas are stable, but the Seongnam party took a massive hit. That zone was supposed to be under Ju Kanghyuk's control, which makes this even weirder. They eventually find the mutant's body left behind in the rubble. A silver-haired hunter named Yoon Doyoung is already there, checking if the guy's gear was stolen. Tempest of Shadows spots him and tells him to freeze. Doyoung doesn't panic, calmly pulling out a badge to show who he's with. It's the Seal of Illusion, a group that usually stays out of the spotlight. The hunters recognize the organization immediately. Tempest of Shadows knows they usually operate from the shadows, so she's curious why they're showing up now. Yoon Doyoung reveals more about the man they found. Ju Kanghyuk was actually a member of Illusion who went rogue, causing the dungeon break to wreck their camp. Tempest of Shadows is stunned that such a powerful threat was neutralized so easily. Doyoung asks if they were the ones who took him out, but she admits they have no idea who did it. Ju Kanghyuk was a slippery target who always escaped into dungeons when things got heated, making his death even more surprising. Looking toward the corpse, the girl thought to herself that a third advancement level hunter shouldn't have been killed this quickly, especially while accompanied by an entire squad of high-level monsters. Tempest of Shadows wonders if someone that powerful is really wandering around their city. Doyoung doesn't stick around, heading off to search for something left behind at the scene. Back at the apartment, things are much quieter as night falls over the city. Junho is home, losing his mind with excitement after checking his haul. He managed to score an epic-grade fighter's chest piece, though it requires level 120. He got the matching leggings too, realizing these drops are way better than what he'd get from a normal boss. He figures the mutant wasn't wearing the gear because he hadn't hit the level requirement yet. If that guy had actually been equipped with this set, Junho might not have one, even with his dark magic. But the real prize is this strange skull pendant with unmeasurable rarity and unknown stats. The system identifies it simply as an unidentified accessory. Junho pokes at it, half joking about whether there's some ancient god sealed inside. The pendant just hangs there, pulsing with an eerie, silent energy. Suddenly, a giant eye opens behind him, as if something from another dimension is watching through the relic. Far away in a dark realm, a terrifying figure on a throne is relieved they managed to close the dungeon connection in time. Junho wonders if there's some kind of ancient god sealed inside, not realizing how close to the truth he is. A lesser demon in the throne room panics as if it's seen a ghost. The master on the throne orders all connections to be cut immediately to keep their location a secret. He's genuinely shaken, wondering how a mere brat could have possibly sensed his presence. Over at the city hospital, the survivors of the attack are being treated. One of the bandaged hunters tells the officials that a young fighter was the one who saved them all. He remembers the enemy opening a rift and fleeing the moment they saw that mysterious warrior. The hunter admits that even though the guy looked young, his strength was far beyond his own. The official in charge agrees that whoever did this took down an enemy professional hunter couldn't handle. Tempest of Shadows suspects they're dealing with an unregistered hunter, especially since the magic traces at the scene were so strange. The survivor hopes that whoever he is, having someone that's strong in the city is a good sign. The official pulls Tempest aside to share a wild theory he's been thinking about. He asks if there were any traces of dark power at the scene, besides the obvious monster presence. He wonders if their mysterious savior could actually be another mutant. He's conflicted, nodding that while the magic was destructive, Not a single civilian was caught in the crossfire. The injured hunter thought the idea of a good mutant was simply ridiculous. Tempest of Shadows isn't so sure, wondering if the theory is actually as crazy as it sounds. Unaware of the stir he's caused, Jun-Ho heads to his next destination. He greets the guards with a smile, ready to start his official advancement quest. He arrives at the Sanctum of Radiance, a massive golden fortress carved into the mountains. Jun-Ho takes in the view, knowing this is where his next challenge begins. But he isn't alone. A mysterious silhouette watches him from the shadows as he approaches the gate. Yoon Do-young looks determined as he follows a lead on his master's legacy. A few days ago, the search brought him to the central exchange under the cover of night. An employee leads him into the back, announcing that his customer has arrived. Boss Wang greets Do-young warmly, eager to discuss the high-level fighter set he's looking for. The employee is impressed by Do-young's rank and wealth, seeing him as her ticket to a promotion. Boss Wang explains that a regular customer just offered to sell a rare 4th advancement set. Do-young immediately asks for the seller's current location, his interest piqued. Boss Wang laughs nervously, explaining that the seller is busy and couldn't make it in today. Do-young suspects this set belonged to his master and vows to reclaim it. He offers to pay for any information on the regular customer, catching Boss Wang off guard. Boss Wang finds the timing of it all suspicious, wondering how everything is falling into place so perfectly. He tells Do-young he'll call the regular to check on his whereabouts in a neighboring city. Once Do-young leaves, the mood in the exchange becomes much more tense. Boss Wang retreats to his office, looking overwhelmed by the situation. He reveals that Jun-Ho is just a 1-star hunter who only recently awakened. The employee is shocked, having assumed Jun-Ho was a hidden talent based on what he was selling. They both wonder where a low-rank orphan like Jun-Ho could have possibly obtained such high-tier gear. The thought that Jun-Ho might have stolen the items crosses their minds, making the situation even more dangerous. Boss Wang realizes that if the gear is stolen, Jun-Ho has picked a fight with a very powerful person. He imagines the high-ranking fighter showing no mercy once he tracks Jun-Ho down. The employee figures that watching a thief get what he deserves will be quite a show. Back in the present, Yoon Do-young keeps a close watch on Jun-Ho from a distance. He finds it hard to believe someone so young could be responsible for stopping a dungeon break. He remains cautious, knowing he's either dealing with an expert or a hidden monster. Jun-Ho continues his journey, oblivious to the eyes following his every move. He arrives at the entrance to the Sanctum of Radiance, where low-level monsters roam. As a bright light envelops Jun-Ho, Do-young prepares to analyze the gear he wears. To Do-young's surprise, Jun-Ho appears in nothing more than simple amateur clothes. He can't help but find the look way too ordinary for someone of Jun-Ho's supposed caliber. He suspects it might be a clever disguise used to blend in with the rookie hunters. To ensure he doesn't lose his target, Do-young decides to use a tracking skill. He activates Mystic Mark, a skill that allows him to track a target without them knowing. He focuses the mark on Jun-Ho's clothing, ready to follow him anywhere. Do-young follows Jun-Ho into the dungeon, still questioning why an expert would bother with trash mobs. Jun-Ho walks through the corridor with a calm and steady demeanor. His face remains neutral, showing no fear of the dangers ahead. Suddenly, a massive surge of magical energy erupts in the middle of the dungeon. A powerful attack is launched, but it seems to have no effect on Jun-Ho at all. Watching from the shadows, Do-young is stunned by what he sees. He recognizes the legendary Absolute Defense, a skill said to be impervious to any attack. Even the monsters in the area seem to sense his overwhelming power and avoid him. Jun-Ho walks on, leaving behind a trail of terrified creatures and a bewildered stalker. Yoon Do-young watches from a distance, shocked to see Jun-Ho standing before the dungeon's final boss. Jun-Ho takes in his surroundings, satisfied that he is alone and free to act. He stands before a massive, stone-faced statue that looms over the chamber. Do-young noticed something strange. Suddenly, the massive statue was shaking in fear, breaking out in a cold sweat. but Junho just turned and walked away, muttering to himself that this boss wasn't the one for his quest, leaving the boss to let out a huge sigh of relief for having just escaped a total disaster. After scouting around several bosses, he finally arrived at the right chamber. Junho braced himself, knowing that the real challenge was about to begin. Suddenly, a majestic armored figure with golden wings descends from above. The entity radiates power, its intricate armor and wings shimmering in the light. Those glowing eyes prove that this boss is no pushover. But Seraphim, the hidden boss, isn't sticking around to mess with the MC. It's actually looking for a way to bolt. Junho watches it flee. He's not about to let his target get away that easily. Yoon Doyoung is watching from the shadows, completely stunned. He can't wrap his head around how a kid like this even found a rare hidden boss. The system confirms it's all part of the quest. To advance, Junho has to take down Seraphim and grab the sacred badge. Junho doesn't look stressed at all. He's just getting ready to finish this. He smirks to himself. An average hunter wouldn't stand a chance in an S-Rank quest like this. Seraphim is in an absolute state of panic. This is the dungeon he's supposed to manage, and he feels like there's nowhere left to hide from the chaos that's about to break loose. Thunder starts rolling across the temple as the sky turns dark. Seraphim had managed to put some distance between them, but the pressure was still weighing heavily on his wings. Junho raises his hand, signaling the end. He activates Thunderfall, but this isn't his usual magic. It's a massive strike of pure dark energy. A giant, terrifying eye opens up in the sky right above the temple. It unleashed a colossal pillar of light, devouring everything in its vicinity and swallowing every single object below. The impact was insane, completely engulfing the fallen angel's entire body in a blinding blast. Junho stood his ground, letting the torrent of energy continue to pour down like a relentless flood. Debris and dust fly everywhere as the temple starts to crumble. Doyoung is on the floor, shaking. He's never seen anything even close to this level of power. When the smoke clears, the temple is basically a crater. Doyoung is sweating. He starts wondering if he's looking at one of those legendary 8th advancement hunters. Junho, on the other hand, is just annoyed. All that EXP is going to waste since his level is capped for now. He figures he might as well head back and turn in the quest. He checks the loot, an epic sacred badge that gives him a permanent boost to his willpower and recovery. He's about to use a teleport scroll when Doyoung comes rushing over, calling him sir. Junho is genuinely surprised. He didn't think anyone was close enough to see all that. Doyoung stops, looking like he's about to faint from the pressure. He tries to play it cool, begging Junho to just hear him out. Suddenly, a loud alarm goes off, snapping them both out of it. Junho decides it's better to talk outside. Doyoung is more than happy to follow orders. They head to a quiet spot on a hill to talk things through. Junho asks the obvious question, has this guy been tailing him the whole time? Doyoung admits he was just curious. He couldn't believe someone so young could have that kind of strength. He tells a story about his master sacrificing himself to stop a dungeon break, and a traitor who's now back using human sacrifices to break the seal. Junho realizes this guy is actually a 4th advancement hunter. He starts sweating a bit, worried his own low level is going to be exposed. Doyoung gets nervous because Junho is so quiet. He's genuinely scared he might be silenced for knowing too much. He earnestly pleaded for Junho's help to seek his revenge, promising to do whatever is asked in return for his aid. Junho thinks it over. A high-level solo hunter who's loyal, that's a huge asset. He tells Doyoung he'll do it, but only if they keep today a secret. Doyoung gives his word. Doyoung is actually impressed. Even though Junho uses dark magic, he respects that it was used for something noble. Junho starts walking back toward Jinyu City, planning his next move. His phone starts buzzing in his pocket. It's Yo Jin on the line. She sounds worried and wants to know exactly where he is. Yo Jin tells Junho to come see her as soon as he's back. Junho hangs up, wondering what she could possibly want to talk about. So-eun is waiting right there, looking for answers about his recent activities. Yo Jin reports that Junho sounds normal and promised he'd be back soon. So-eun isn't buying it. A kid who just awakened shouldn't be at a first advancement level already. Yojin defends him, saying he's a hardworking kid she trusts. So-eun's sharp eyes narrow behind her glasses as she considers the data. A hologram displays the current situation and the hunters involved in the investigation. The stern-faced elder at the head of the table listens in silence to the report. So-eun looks down, weighing the risks of what she's about to suggest. She asks if the 2 destructive spells in the city could be the work of a mutant. The room goes quiet as the other officials process the heavy implication. The elder man reminds So-eun that she's a mutant herself, so she should know how suggestible that is. He explains that mutants pay a heavy price for their dark power, often losing their sanity and turning into monsters. So-eun remains firm, stating that a Monarch-class mutant is something that simply cannot exist. A spiky-haired hunter mocked the idea, telling her to go write fairy tales instead. She counters that she's just considering every possibility, regardless of his opinion. He smirks, claiming her talk is just a cover for her failure to find any real evidence. The man keeps laughing, even offering to put his own neck on the line if she's right. The elder interrupts, announcing that an investigation team has already been sent to Jinyu City. So-eun looks offended, asking if he doesn't trust her to handle it herself. She takes a moment to compose herself as the meeting continues. Suddenly, a masked hunter, the Tempest of Shadows, bursts in with an urgent update. She reports that a destructive spell has hit the Sanctum of Radiance in Onbyul City. Yojin pales, realizing that's exactly where Junho said he was training. So-eun watches her reaction closely, her suspicions growing. A small smirk plays on her lips as she realizes things are getting interesting. Over in Onbyul City, a massive blue energy barrier hums as it guards the skyline. Junho is standing in a crowd with Yoon Do-young, listening to people panic about the earlier blast. An armored guard reassures the civilians that the barrier is the highest class and will hold. Junho realizes he went a little too hard earlier and caused the high alert himself. Suddenly, dark cracks start forming on the surface of the blue shield. A monstrous face with glowing red eyes and jagged teeth begins to emerge from the breach. A massive horned demon steps through the tier, looking down at the city. He scoffs at the barrier, calling it a pointless shell for the weak to hide in. A whole swarm of smaller, winged demons follows him through the opening. The lead demon declares that a mere barrier isn't enough to stop them. He points toward the city below, signaling his horde to descend. With a cruel laugh, he tells his minions it's time for a little surprise. A dark vortex opens in the sky, crackling with energy as shadows pour out. A city guard looks up, frozen in shock as the sky itself seems to fracture. The demons dive into the streets, immediately attacking the terrified civilians. People scream in terror, desperately trying to escape the monsters that have appeared within the city. The city guards are in shock, unable to understand how the monsters bypass the intact barrier. In the chaos, the fleeing crowd pushes and shoves, causing more panic and injury as they scramble for safety. Yoon Do-young radiates a powerful aura, his eyes sharp and focused as he prepares for combat. He warns Junho that this is likely another major dungeon break, similar to the one in Jinyu City. Do-young looks back at Junho, waiting for his command or a sign that he's ready to engage. Junho acts surprised, wondering out loud who could possibly stop monsters this powerful. Do-young stares at him, knowing Junho's true strength and realizing the question is just a test of his own resolve. Do-young won't let his guard down. He knows Junho won't just stand by if things spiral out of control. Do-young confidently steps forward, vowing to handle the situation himself. Junho watches him go, relieved that someone else is taking the lead so he doesn't have to reveal his power in front of everyone. A massive explosion rocks the area as a demon lands among the fleeing crowd. The demon laughs cruelly as it looms over its next victims, reveling in their fear. An archer fires a shot, but the demon easily deflects it with a contemptuous click of its tongue. The demon swats away the projectile as if it were nothing more than an annoying insect. A city guard charges in with his sword raised, but his bravery is no match for the demon's power. With one swift blow, the demon shatters the guard's weapon and sends him flying. The fallen guard watches in horror as his fellow defenders are easily cut down. A citizen cowers in disbelief, realizing the city's defenses are completely useless against this monster. The lead demon mocks the humans, disappointed by how weak and boring they are. Panicked civilians continue to scream and run for their lives as the demon draws closer. The monster singles out a young woman, its shadow looming over her as it raises its blade. The demon roars that they are all trash, without exception, as it prepares to strike. Before the blow can land, a brilliant blue streak of light intercepts the attack. The demon is taken by surprise, as its powerful swing is suddenly blocked. It looks down to see Doyoung standing between it and its prey, his twin blades ready. Doyoung told the demons that he couldn't just sit back and let lowly creatures like them trouble his master. He formally asks Junho to leave the area to him, addressing him with deep respect. The demon's interest is piqued. It seems it finally found someone who isn't trash. Junho is slightly embarrassed by the formal title, but nods as Doyoung leaps into the fray. Doyoung unleashed a powerful slash, catching the monster completely off guard before it could even react. The demon's eyes widen as it realizes Doyoung is much faster and stronger than the others. With his aura blazing, Doyoung prepares to land another devastating blow from above. Yoon Doyoung's skill carves up the monster like it's nothing. The regular hunters can't even wrap their heads around what they're seeing. Amidst the chaos, Doyoung stands tall as the dust settles. Level 137 with a 5-star hidden job, the guy is a walking cheat code. On the inside, Junho is basically fanboying over his own subordinate. But on the outside, he keeps it cool and acts like it was just another Tuesday. With the boss down, the rest of the hunters finally find their courage to clean up. Even with that insane power, Doyoung immediately reports back to his master. Junho gives him a thumbs up for a job well done. People nearby watched from a distance, convinced that Junho was some young master from a powerful conglomerate out for a casual stroll. Doyoung hands over the loot he secured from the monster. The crowd loses it when they see the orange glow of a high-tier drop. A high-agility skill book. Junho already knows this is going straight to Ha Yunseo later. This shield, on the other hand, is destined for the nearest exchange for a fat stack of cash. That's when the mayor and his guards decide to make their move. The city's leader doesn't waste time and bows deeply in gratitude. He introduces himself as Cha Dongmyung, clearly trying to get on Junho's good side. Junho plays it off like they were just caught in the wrong place at the right time. Doyoung's cold stare makes the mayor wonder if he just said something offensive. The guy starts sweating buckets and apologizing for the city's mistakes. To make it up to them, the mayor orders a rare flight scroll to be brought out immediately. Junho recognizes how valuable a flight scroll is for someone with a tight schedule. The mayor shoots his shot and asks if they can stay a few more days to help with defenses. But Junho isn't interested. He's got his own advancement quest to worry about. One dark look from Doyoung is enough to make the mayor rethink his request. The assistant rushes over with the promised compensation. On top of the scroll, the mayor presents a VIP black card from the Central Exchange. Junho is genuinely impressed by the exclusive perks that come with a card like this. He tells the mayor he'll put it to good use. Mayor Cha is just glad he accepted the gifts without any trouble. He tentatively asks if they can call for help if the city is ever in trouble again. Junho gives a non-committal answer, if he's free maybe. It's enough for the crowd, and they erupt in cheers as the threat is officially over. 2 pillars of light shoot up as they activate the flight scroll. They blast off, heading toward their next destination at top speed. The scene shifts to Jinyu City, right in front of the massive advancement hall. A group of hunters notices a familiar face finishing up their quest. Ha Yunseo walks out of the hall, looking as sharp as ever. She seems focused, but something in the sky catches her eye. High above, 2 streaks of mana cut through the clouds. Jo Sung-hoon notices her distraction and asks what's up. Yunseo can't shake the feeling that one of those flyers looked exactly like Junho. Jo Sung-hoon scoffs, claiming there's no way a guy like Junho could afford a flight scroll. Ha Yunseo tells him to shut his mouth if he wants to stay in one piece. Jo Sung-hoon is genuinely annoyed that she's still defending someone he considers trash. A hunter in the group tries to change the subject, asking Yunseo what her quest rank was. The other guys start bragging about getting a rank quests themselves. They talk like an A rank is their ticket to the top universities and a bright future. The purple-haired girl repeats the question, eager to hear Yunseo's result. Yunseo stays quiet, seemingly deep in thought about the choice she's about to make. The rest of the hunters watch her, sensing the tension in the air. The priestess assumed that her silence meant she had only rolled a C rank or something even worse. He thinks to himself that quest rank is everything for a hunter's growth. He patronizingly offers to carry her through dungeons if she's fallen behind. Yunseo finally speaks up, asking why he'd think she was upset about getting an S-Rank quest. The news hits the group like a ton of bricks. S-Rank is practically unheard of. She mentions that her quest seemed different from the standard ones. Yunseo reveals she's actually unlocking a hidden job that nobody has ever seen before. Jo Sung-hoon loses his mind, insisting that hidden jobs don't just appear out of nowhere. Ignoring him, Yunseo steps onto the magic circle and activates the Vanguard's badge. The system confirms the badge is detected and starts the upgrade process. Her old class is discarded as the transformation begins. The system announces her new identity, Blade Shadow. A glowing icon of the badge floats in the center of her vision. Yunseo is stunned as she watches her power being reshaped right before her eyes. She realizes that Junho must have known exactly what he was doing when he gave this to her. She remembers how confident he looked when he handed over the gift. Without a second thought, she hits the confirmation button on the floating screen. She casually explains the miracle to her stunned companion. Jo Sung-hoon is screaming that she's going to ruin her life with a system error. Yunseo doesn't care. It's her life and she's taking the risk. The other hunters offered their congratulations, while Sung-hoon was green with envy at her 5-star luck. Jo Sung-hoon is seething, swearing that he'll find a badge for himself no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Junho is in his own advancement room holding the sacred badge. It's an epic rarity item designed to break the rules of advancement. The badge dissolves into a brilliant light that flows into his chest. Instantly, his S-Rank quest hits 100% completion without him lifting a finger. Junho is thrilled. His stats are through the roof and he's unlocked a new passive. The skill, Free Control, gives him total mastery over the power of darkness. Yoon Do-young stands guard outside the door, looking completely unshakable. A wide shot shows the quiet hallway where the elite fighter is waiting for his master. So-eun is watching from a distance, recognizing Do-young from her earlier reports. She knows he reached the 4th advancement at an incredibly young age. She can't understand why a national-level elite would be standing guard for a guy like Junho. So-eun reviews reports that an elite hunter has been following on Junho with extreme respect. She recalled the instructor's warning that underestimating Junho would be a fatal mistake. A memory flickered as she assured her friend that she would personally meet Junho to investigate. Despite her duty, the instructor truly believed that Junho wasn't the type of person who would ever become their enemy. Kai Yojin spots Junho and Yoon Do-young walking together, looking like they don't have a care in the world. Junho turns around in surprise as he hears his name called out from behind. He's relieved to see Kai Yojin, greeting her with a friendly smile. She asks if they can talk about what happened earlier, while Do-young stands guard in the background. Do-young respectfully offers to wait nearby, addressing Junho as Sir, and leaving him flustered. Junho laughs it off nervously, telling her that Do-young is just playing around. Kai Yojin gets straight to the point, asking if he has already finished his first advancement. Junho's eyes narrow slightly, as he realizes he can't keep his growth a secret for much longer. The two of them move to a more secluded area to discuss the situation in private. Junho knows he can trust her, but he's still hesitant to reveal everything he's discovered. He admits he's finished the advancement, but explains that things are a bit too complicated to detail right now. Her expression turns serious as she asks if he's been tainted by the power of darkness. Junho is taken aback, wondering if his dark mage abilities are already being detected. She warns him that dungeon breaks are turning more people into dangerous mutants every day. Junho tries to remain calm, knowing that mutants are hunted and monitored by the government. To be absolutely sure, Kaiyojin pulls out a small, dark stone from her dress. She holds up the mana detection stone, a device meant to sniff out dark energy. She explains that if he pours his power into it, the stone will show exactly how much darkness is inside him. Junho begins to sweat, fully aware that his power is the very thing she's trying to detect. Kaiyojin watches him intently, her suspicions rising with every second of his hesitation. He forces a laugh, claiming that he's just a bit nervous since it's his first time doing a test like this. As he touches the stone, sparks of energy fly from his fingertips. Suddenly, the stone shatters with a violent explosion, sending debris flying everywhere. Junho yells in mock terror, acting as if the explosion was a terrifying surprise. Kaiyojin is in total shock, staring at the fragments of the stone that should have only vibrated. Junho innocently asks her what just happened, trying to play it off as a system error. She explains that the mana detection stone is extremely sensitive to the power of darkness. Usually, the stone starts to vibrate gently when someone channels their power into it. The rule is simple. A stronger vibration means a higher concentration of dark energy. Kaiyojin is terrified, realizing that if a vibration means a mutant, then an explosion means something far beyond her comprehension. An Junho and Yo-Jin stand over the shattered remains of the mana stone, both stunned by what just happened. He tries to play it off as a fluke, asking her to just trust him despite how bizarre the situation looks. Yo-Jin knows about his tragic past and finds his positive attitude despite everything to be pretty remarkable. She wants to trust him, but she admits she still has to report this incident to the higher-ups. Junho doesn't show it, but he's already planning to bail on the city if the government decides to make things difficult. To lighten things up, Yo-Jin pulls out a glowing item she's been saving for him. She hands it over as a gift to celebrate his very first advancement. Junho feels a genuine surge of gratitude for how well she's treated him over the years. But he's not one to just take. He pulls out a piece of loot from his own quest to give back to her. It's the Sacred Wings belt, a high-level epic item with some serious stat boosts. Yo-Jin's jaw drops when she realizes the gear he just handed her is actually epic rarity. She tries to refuse something so expensive, but Junho just laughs and insists she keep it. He gives a quick wave and heads out, mentioning that a friend is already waiting for him. She watches him walk off with that mysterious fighter, her mind still racing from the exchange. She's left wondering what kind of guy just gives away epic gear like it's nothing. Later at the Hunter office, Yo-Jin sits down with the bosses to discuss what happened. The lead official peers through a shard of the mana stone, admitting she's never seen power like this. The higher-ups realize that treating Junho as an enemy would be a massive strategic mistake. They decide to pull the plug and stop the investigation right then and there. The official thinks it's much smarter to try and win the kid over rather than harassing him. She orders her masked subordinate to seal every scrap of information they've collected so far. Yo-Jin agrees, feeling like this is the best way to keep Junho safe from the government's reach. Since they're leaving the kid alone, the official decides to dig into the mysterious fighter instead. Night falls over the city, and things finally start to quiet down at Junho's place. Yoon Do-young notices that despite the news, Junho doesn't exactly look thrilled. Junho's just lounging on the couch, relaying the text about the investigation being dropped. Do-young's confused, thinking that sounds like the perfect outcome for them. But Junho is worried. Every time he clears a dungeon, it turns into a massive scene. Do-young realizes that his boss is dealing with problems on a level regular people can't even touch. He suggests a new strategy, leveling up in dungeons that aren't officially approved by the government. The world is currently being flooded with new anomalies that the authorities can't keep track of. Some of these spots are hidden deep in the wilderness or run by shady underground groups. Doyoung explains that there are plenty of places where they can hunt without any surveillance drones. Junho likes the sound of that and asks if Doyoung knows where to find them. Doyoung's got a few leads already and offers to do some more digging. Junho decides it's a go, knowing Doyoung can handle the public stuff while he stays in the shadows. He pulls out his VIP black card, planning to head to the exchange and sell off his loot tomorrow. Meanwhile, Doyoung heads back to the quick hotel to get some rest. He's already planning to start looking for a permanent house for them first thing in the morning. The next day, a man in a suit greets Doyoung and leads him through the hotel. He's introduced to Jang Huyol, the mayor of Jinyu City, who's grateful for his help during the dungeon break. Doyoung sticks to the plan and confirms that he intends to stay in the city for a long time. Jang Huyol pulls out a special red ID card, explaining that it grants the highest level of privileges in the city. Yoon Doyoung takes the card, looking every bit the professional powerhouse the city needs. The mayor mentions that other cities tried and failed to recruit him, feeling smug that Jinyu came out on top. Doyoung accepts the offer with a simple thanks, tucking the new ID away. They seal the deal with a handshake, with Huyol insisting that providing support is the least they can do. Doyoung thinks to himself that this special card is going to be incredibly useful for Junho. The mayor is practically beaming, thrilled that his city's safety is basically guaranteed now. He even offers to handle Doyoung's housing personally, so he doesn't have to keep staying in hotels. Back at home, Junho finally sees the victory screen on his game and decides to call it a night. He realizes it's gotten way later than he thought and figures he should probably head to bed. But his class group chat is still blowing up even in the middle of the night. Everyone is stressing about their levels. Most are stuck in the mid-20s and worried about the city's dungeons being sealed. Junho thinks about how they all awakened years ago, yet he's already passed them in just a few days. One of his classmates calls him out for being too relaxed and playing games while everyone else is panicking. Junho isn't bothered. He couldn't care less what some internet hater thinks of his schedule. Unexpectedly, Yo Jin jumps into the chat and tells the guy to mind his own business. Junho gets a kick out of her coming to his defense like that. He scrolls up to see more news about multiple dungeon breaks causing heavy casualties across the country. His classmates are terrified, feeling like the world might actually be ending. Some of them mention the powerhouse who cleared the local dungeon, saying they finally feel a bit safer. Junho realizes things are getting way worse than he thought and resolves to keep his new, happy life safe. He thinks back to the battle, regretting that he missed his chance to finish off one of the mutants. Somewhere far away, a monster lets out a massive sneeze out of nowhere. A dark-armored figure wonders why a sudden chill just ran down its spine. The next day, Junho heads to the central exchange to sell off some more loot. He spots Yang Seola, who's already back on the job despite the bandages on her face. An arrogant woman in a suit mocks her for coming to work before she's even healed. Seola insists she's fine, but the woman claims she's just desperate to see her little boyfriend, Junho. Seola tries to deny it, but she's clearly flustered by the accusation. The woman scoffs, saying it's pathetic that she'd fall for a petty thief like him. Seola snaps back, telling her to watch her mouth because Junho isn't that kind of person. The woman just smirks, calling him trash, and insisting there's no way a one-star could get high-grade gear legally. Suddenly, a wave of dark pressure hits her, and she nearly doubles over in terror. Junho steps into view, looking bored by all the trash talk he just overheard. The woman falls to the ground, terrified by the overwhelming atmosphere he's putting off. She stammers his name, completely shocked that he's actually standing right there. Getting her ego back, she screams at him for using magic inside the exchange and calls for security. Seola is panicked, begging him to leave before the guards show up. She warns him that the higher-ups at the exchange aren't a joke, and he'll be in serious trouble. A group of guards comes rushing down the hall, their footsteps echoing through the room. Mr. Wang steps forward, demanding to know who's dumb enough to cause trouble in his building. The arrogant woman smirks, thinking Junho is finally going to get what's coming to him. Junho stares down the manager, asking if he's the one responsible for digging into his past and labeling him a thief. Mr. Wang doesn't back down, telling Junho that whether the charges are false or not, he knows the truth of his own actions best. He sneers that a low-ranking hunter like Junho has no right to interrogate him, as guards begin to close in. Unfazed, Junho pulls out a sleek VIP black card and asks if this is how the Central Exchange typically treats its elite customers. The sight of the card sends the guards into a panic, and they scramble to stop their advance before they make a huge mistake. Mr. Wang and his colleague are absolutely floored, unable to comprehend how a trash hunter could possess such a prestigious card. Junho smirks, realizing that the gift from Mayor Cha Dongmyung carries far more weight than he initially expected. He mocks Mr. Wang's earlier arrogance, suggesting that if he's so good at background checks, he should figure out the card's origin himself. Suddenly terrified of the implications, Mr. Wang orders the woman to watch Junho while he steps away to make an emergency call. Outside the VIP area, a crowd gathers as guards block off the entrance to keep the growing tension from spilling out. On the other end of the line, the official from HQ is furious, demanding to know why Wang is harassing the owner of the card he personally issued. Mr. Wang is dripping with sweat, desperately trying to explain it away as a minor misunderstanding. The official screams that he spent a massive amount of effort building goodwill with Junho, only for Wang to ruin it in minutes. He slams his desk in a rage, calling Wang an idiot, and promising to arrive at the exchange immediately to handle the situation. Left trembling in the hall, Mr. Wang wonders what kind of incredible monster he's accidentally offended. He realizes his only hope is to contact his own superior and mention the rare fighter set to try and salvage his position. He prays that once his boss arrives to mediate, even the mayor won't be able to stay angry for too long. Junho and Seola are just hanging out in the waiting room of the Central Exchange, waiting for the higher-ups to show. Suddenly, Mayor Cha Dongmyung and his high-level bodyguard come sprinting through the lobby like it's a marathon. Junho looks up, wondering why these two big shots are making such a frantic entrance. Seola recognizes them instantly and asks Junho if he actually knows the mayor personally. The VIPs aren't there for a friendly visit, though. They look absolutely livid as they confront the exchange staff. The employee who was just acting all high and mighty looks like she's about to faint under the mayor's glare. Her boss isn't doing much better, practically collapsing as he realizes their careers are toast. He starts muttering about being completely ruined, while his subordinate watches in sheer terror. The mayor wipes his brow and asks Junho if he'll accept an apology, but Junho knows these types never truly change. Since an apology won't cut it, the mayor orders the two staff members to pack their bags and get out immediately. They're left in shock, realizing their elite status just vanished because they picked the wrong person to insult. The manager snaps, lashing out at his subordinate and blaming her for the mess they both made. Cha Dongmyung is done with the drama and calls for security to drag them out of the building. With the trash taken out, it's time for some actual VIP treatment in a private lounge. They settle in for tea, with Seola serving the group as things finally calm down. She's just relieved that Junho's impression of the exchange wasn't completely trashed by those two jerks. Watching them chat, she's amazed at how a teenager can talk so casually with such powerful figures. The mayor tells Seola she's had a rough time too, and promises the exchange will fully support her career from now on. She turns bright red, stuttering out a thank you while promising to work harder than ever. Junho plays it cool, apologizing for making the mayor come all the way out there for a minor dispute. Cha Dongmyung laughs it off, saying anything that concerns Junho concerns the city, then asks if any rare loot caught his eye. Junho takes the opening to ask if they've ever heard of something called End Times Remains. The mayor just looks confused, clearly having never heard the term before. Even Yoon Doyoung is stumped, confirming that this isn't exactly common knowledge among hunters. Junho laughs it off as a random internet curiosity, so he doesn't raise any more eyebrows. Later that night, He pulls out the skill book Yo-Jin gave him to see what he can do with it. The book is Spirit Extraction, a standard mage skill for recovering MP during battle. He wonders what kind of dark magic it'll turn into once he applies his system's corruption. He activates Spirit Infusion, and the book is consumed in a blinding flash of energy. The skill transforms into Joining the Darkness, which lets him turn residual dark power from those remains into permanent stats. Jun-Ho lets out a big yawn, figuring that since the remains aren't around yet, he can just relax for now. The next day, the two of them saw Mayor Cha off at the city gates, and the old man didn't forget to invite them back whenever they liked. Having said that, he pulled out a teleportation scroll and activated it. The two watched as a massive pillar of light shot old man Cha straight into the sky, hurtling toward his destination. With everything settled, Jun-Ho suggested they grab a bite to eat at his place. They arrive at the luxury villa, which looks more like a mansion than a temporary residence. Jun-Ho is genuinely shocked that the city just gave him a place this fancy right off the bat. Do-young explains that Jinyu City gives special treatment to anyone 4th advancement or higher, and even offers to find another place so Jun-Ho isn't crowded. Jun-Ho tells him not to worry about it, casually mentioning he'll just buy the house next door eventually. Do-young offers to lend him money if he ever needs it, thinking Jun-Ho might be struggling. Jun-Ho just smirks, knowing the mountain of crystals he's got stashed away could buy a whole block of these villas. He takes a drink, deciding there's no need to rush into spending his fortune just yet. Jun-Ho is fully embracing the luxury life, just chilling with a drink in his fancy new villa. Do-young mentions that the place even comes with its own private chef, who's already on his way over. Just as they're settling in, Do-young's phone starts buzzing with a call he can't exactly ignore. It's Mayor Jang Huyol on the line, and he sounds like he's got some serious business to discuss. The mayor explains that an investigation team is poking around and asks for Do-young's cooperation. Do-young doesn't look thrilled about being bothered during his downtime with Jun-Ho. Jun-Ho just sits there looking totally clueless, wondering what all the fuss is about. Do-young tells the mayor he's tied up today, but internally he's worried about how this investigation might affect his guest. Mayor Jang plays it cool, saying it's not urgent and they can talk whenever Do-young has a free moment. Do-young fills Jun-Ho in on the investigation team, wondering what kind of people they're actually dealing with. Rumors are flying about some mysterious powerhouse that's been cleaning up high-level dungeons. People are imagining a terrifying dark warrior, not realizing the actual guy is just a teenager playing video games. Over at the association headquarters, the heavy doors to the conference room are shut for an emergency meeting. The top brass are all gathered, trying to figure out who this person is and if they're a threat to their control. A woman with glasses and a serious ponytail leads the briefing on the recent anomalies. One man in the room, however, looks particularly annoyed by the whole mysterious savior situation. She explains that during the last dungeon break, the mutant threat was neutralized almost instantly by this unknown entity. The scarred man isn't convinced, thinking the stories about this powerhouse are probably just exaggerations. He points out that Monarch-class entities were involved, so he doesn't believe some random person just walked in and won. The woman stays silent, likely aware that the egos in the room aren't ready for the truth. It turns out Eon has been secretly rewriting data to protect Jun-Ho's identity, taking all the pressure on herself. The scarred investigation leader suddenly loses his patience and stands up to take charge. He complains that freelance hunters who ignore association rules are the biggest headache they have. He decides to take full authority over the investigation, dismissing everyone else so he can handle it his way. Later that night, the scene shifts to the gloomy graveyard dungeon where the initial incident occurred. A heavy, metallic boot crushes a twig as someone approaches the guarded entrance. Two hunters on guard duty are caught off guard and demand to know who's trespassing in a restricted area. It's the scarred investigation leader himself, looking way too smug for a midnight graveyard visit. He tells the guards to step aside because he's going inside to conduct his own personal inspection. Ignoring their protests, He walks straight into the glowing purple portal of the dungeon. Once inside, even he's a bit shocked by the sheer level of destruction left in the wake of the fight. He can still feel the residual power of darkness lingering in the air, and it's incredibly dense. Instead of being worried, he starts laughing, thinking this power makes the mysterious powerhouse look like an insect. Dark energy begins to swirl around his hand as he tries to tap into the remnants of the fight. Suddenly, a terrifying, multi-eyed demonic face manifests right out of the shadows. He stands his ground, facing the monstrous entity that seems to be feeding on the lingering darkness. He's clearly lost his mind, laughing about a Monarch-class presence and claiming all that power for himself. Back at the villa, the night is quiet, but something is definitely shifting in the atmosphere. Junho is busy playing on his phone, completely unaware of the disaster brewing over at the graveyard. That is until a system notification pops up out of nowhere. Notice, end times remains detected. He feels a strange, electric pull deep in his soul, like something is trying to link directly to him. He sits up, his eyes narrowing as he realizes the connection is getting stronger, and he can pinpoint exactly where it's coming from. Junho doesn't waste a second, grabbing his jacket as the system's emergency warning rings in his head. He throws it on in one smooth motion, his mind already miles away at the source of the dark disturbance. Yoon Do-young is caught off guard, asking where he's headed in such a rush, but Junho just gives him a vague brush-off. He casually tells Do-young to keep his gaming rank up while he's gone, leaving his friend standing there in utter confusion. Under the cover of night, cars speed along the highway leading away from the luxury villa district toward the outskirts. Junho checks his phone to confirm the navigation. His destination is the gloomy graveyard, and he needs to get there fast. Suddenly, his senses flare up with electric intensity as he realizes whatever he's tracking has started moving again. Back at the graveyard entrance, a monstrous, multi-eyed entity has manifested, looming over the terrified guards like a nightmare. The guards can do nothing but tremble as the overwhelming, dark aura of the unknown monster pins them in place. It turns out the insignificant insect the investigation leader mocked has turned the tables, absorbing him into its horrific form. The man who was just bragging about his authority is now reduced to a sobbing mess, begging for a help that isn't coming. The road leading to the dungeon has been completely blocked off by the authorities to prevent any more civilians from getting near. Hunters stationed at the perimeter warn everyone to stay back, citing the extreme danger just ahead of the roadblock. Junho's ride can't go any further, so he pays the driver and hops out, ready to cover the rest of the distance on foot. He looks toward the dungeon with a serious gaze, nodding that the chaotic energy he felt earlier has momentarily settled. Meanwhile, the investigation leader continues to scream in agony, his head protruding from the top of the monster's grotesque body. A group of female hunters arrives on the scene, stopping dead in their tracks at the sight of the nightmare unfolding before them. The woman with the glasses and Kai Yojin can hardly believe their eyes, staring in horror at the mutated remains of their colleague. Wind howls across the jagged, dark landscape. Yojin supports a wounded the lady captain as a blue healing light pulses between them. The lady captain groans in pain, her glasses cracked and face covered in soot. Yojin is just glad she had the gear Junho gave her. It's the only reason she could rush in this fast. But the danger isn't over yet. They still have to worry about where the monster went. The mayor requested backup, but Yojin isn't sure anyone can make it in time. The lady captain knows Yoon Do-young is strong, but she doubts even he can handle this thing alone. A massive clawed limb smashes into the ground, shaking the entire valley. The creature looms out of the darkness, a nightmare of glowing eyes and rows of sharp teeth. Junho stares up at the end times remains, and the scale of the thing is actually pretty impressive. He stands his ground as the towering shadow blocks out the sky. He considers just dropping another dark magic spell to finish it off right now. Energy begins to spiral around him as he prepares to strike. A massive blast of power hits the creature square in the head. He activates a hexagonal barrier just as the monster's massive teeth snap shut. Even Junho admits the raw power coming off this thing is insane. Suddenly, a system prompt pops up. Absorb end times remains. He taps the screen, realizing he had to get this close for the trigger to even show up. The reward is instant, a massive plus 100 to every single one of his stats. But it's not just stats. He can feel a strange new interface taking over his mind. Do-young finally reaches the scene and finds Junho clutching his head in the smoke. Junho's vision blurs as the absorbed memories take hold. He sees a glimpse of a different world and a lone warrior facing down a titan. A monstrous roar from the past echoes through the vision. Shards of memory float around him as he walks through a void of shattered time. He sees ancient armor and battles that happened long before his time. A vision of a powerful, horned king appears right as his stat boost is confirmed. Back in the present, Junho nonchalantly tells Do-young he already finished the job. Do-young looks down at the remains of the monster and its victim, stunned by the aftermath. He doesn't feel any magic in the air, leaving him wondering just how the kid pulled this off. Junho just pats him on the shoulder and tells him to handle the cleanup. Before Do-young can say a word, Junho vanishes in a streak of white light. Do-young can't believe it for a mage. That kid's speed is on par with an agility class. He watches Junho run off, realizing he's been completely underestimating him. The scene shifts to Jinyu City Prison. One of the corrupted hunters is already in chains, confessing to the whole plan. He admits he tried to manipulate the darkness for his own benefit. But the greed backfired when the monster broke free of his control. Mayor Jang Huyol is thrilled, convinced a mystery powerhouse is protecting their city. The lady captain finally looks like she can breathe a sigh of relief. Yojin just smiles, keeping her thoughts about Junho to herself. The mayor turns to Do-young, asking if he's met the legendary mystery man in person. Yoon Do-young keeps his cool, telling the mayor he was just lucky to cross paths with the powerhouse once. Yojin and the lady captain look on, surprised by how highly the mysterious hero is being praised. Mayor Jang is practically begging for an intro, offering anything the hero wants if he just stays in Jinyu City. Do-young shakes his head, claiming the guy is naturally humble and hates the spotlight. He lies through his teeth, saying they already agreed to let the powerhouse take all the credit for the cleanup. Since there's zero evidence, there's no way for the higher-ups to actually investigate him anyway. The mayor is devastated, knowing exactly how many people would kill for a connection to someone that powerful. Do-young reassures him that the hero is already keeping an eye on the city because of someone he knows locally. Hearing that, the lady captain can't help but wonder if she's already met this person without knowing it. Yojin thinks to herself, if this hero is that strong, he's probably way older and more experienced than Junho. Meanwhile, across town at Junho's apartment building, Junho is taking a shower, processing the fact that those end times remains were scraps from a dead demon king. He's still seeing flashes of the demon king's life, shards of memories from when the creature was still alive. He laughs it off, thinking he has no intention of becoming a demon king, so what would he even use this for? But then he pauses, realizing those memories might actually hold some secrets that could be useful. He recalls a vision of dungeons growing stronger as darkness builds up, a cycle the world isn't ready for. Without a way to stop the dungeon breaks, the entire world is eventually going to get wiped off the map. He realizes the current hunter system is flawed, and high-level experts are too rare to handle what's coming. Thinking about humanity's inevitable path to extinction leaves a bad taste in his mouth. He figures if he can share some of this demon intel with the right people, he might actually be able to change things. But he has to be very careful about how he shares it to avoid causing even more chaos. This knowledge is beyond common sense, and he has no clue what kind of aftermath it might trigger. Suddenly, his phone starts buzzing with a call from Yojin. He picks up, his mood instantly flipping from doom and gloom to a genuine smile. On the other end, Yunseo is beaming. She just got the notification that her S-Rank advancement was a total success. She's officially a Blade Shadow now, and the first thing she wants to do is treat Junho to a big dinner. Junho can't say no to free food, so they agree to meet up later that night. Back at the advancement hall, Yunseo walks down the grand steps, leaving her old team behind. She looks focused, her gaze already set on a future far away from the small-time guild politics. Her former party is throwing confetti, celebrating her rank up like they were the ones who did the work. One of the guys is amazed. She hit her second advancement at such a young age. He tries to swoop in, telling her he booked the best restaurant in the city for a team celebration. Yunseo shuts him down immediately, saying she already has much more important plans for the night. The guy is visibly annoyed, asking why she can't just push her plans back after all the hard work they did. She doesn't even slow down, walking straight past them without a second look. He grits his teeth, thinking she's starting to act all high and mighty just because she got a rank up. One of the other girls tells him to back off, insisting that Yunseo definitely has a good reason for leaving. He scoffs, asking if she isn't exhausted from always trying to keep up with someone who's clearly out of their league. He stares at her back, realizing the gap between them is only going to get wider from here on out. Yunseo watches her go, a mix of admiration and worry in her eyes. She knows that one day, Yunseo is going to be walking a path that they simply can't follow. As the sun sets, the neon signs for a local barbecue joint light up the street. Junho's eyes light up as a massive, golden-fried platter is placed on the table between them. He digs in with pure joy, telling Yunseo that hanging out with her always leads to the best food in town. Yunseo smiles, genuinely grateful as she tells him that the Vanguard's badge he gave her made all the difference in her advancement. Junho continues chewing, playing it cool while he thinks about the badge's true potential. He recalls the Demon King's memories, mentioning that hunters in this world aren't even reaching their optimal forms yet. Yunseo curiously asks where he even got a rare and powerful item like that in the first place. He gives her a vague answer, claiming he isn't even really sure himself. Seeing her sincere gratitude, he thinks to himself how Yunseo hasn't changed at all. She always tries to include him in her success. She gets serious, telling him not to give up on leveling because the world is getting more dangerous by the day. Junho jokes around, suggesting that since she's so strong now, she can just protect him instead. Yunseo snaps at him, telling him to quit joking because she's actually worried about his safety. Junho looks up, surprised by the sudden intensity in her voice. He notices her clutching her shoulder and realizes she's more than just a little banged up from her quest. He asks if she even got treated, worried that S-Rank advancement quests are as brutal as they say. Yunseo admits the boss hit hard, but insists she'll be fine after a little bit of rest. Suddenly, Junho's phone starts ringing on the table, vibrating against the wood. He picks up, only to hear a strange, cold voice asking him point-blank if he's on Junho. On the other end, a shadowed figure demands to know where he got the Vanguard's badge. Yunseo looks over, sensing that something is wrong by the guarded look on Junho's face. He tells her it's just some guy with an attitude problem, demanding info he has no right to. Yunseo's heart sinks. She wonders how anyone else could even know about the badge when she's never told a soul. Junho tells her to ignore it and get back to her meal, not wanting to ruin the rest of their night. The phone starts ringing again immediately, the restricted caller ID flashing on the screen. The voice on the line is furious now, threatening him for daring to hang up on someone so important. Junho's expression turns cold. He decides to stay quiet for now since Yunseo is right there with him. Without another word, he slides the red icon and ends the call for the second time. A short while later, they step out of the restaurant, Junho patting his stomach and feeling completely stuffed. Yunseo looks at him, asking one last time if he's sure he doesn't want her to walk him all the way home. He gives her a bright, reassuring grin, telling her it wasn't even an important call and that he's perfectly fine. They part ways under the glow of a crescent moon, waving goodbye as the night grows quiet. Junho finally makes it back to his apartment building, the windows glowing dimly in the dark. He reaches for the handle, but pauses when he hears a faint click that shouldn't be there. He steps inside, yawning from the long day only to stop dead in his tracks. His eyes widen in shock at the sight of his living room. His entire apartment has been completely trashed, with books and clothes scattered everywhere across the floor. Then he hears the slow, rhythmic sound of footsteps approaching from the shadows of his room. A man with blonde hair and a smug grin steps out, glowing with a dangerous blue aura. This is the blonde assassin, a deadly hunter who doesn't care for pleasantries. Junho's gaze hardens as he realizes this is the punk who called him earlier. The assassin scoffs, telling Junho he warned him to listen while he was still being polite. Junho glares at him, his purple eyes narrowing as he wonders who exactly sent this clown to his doorstep. The assassin laughs, looking down on Junho as nothing more than trash who barely awakened, demanding to know why he thinks he deserves respect.